Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Kyle Tolsman, and you're listening to the Against All Average podcast, the show where business owners and entrepreneurs come to learn the skills and mindset to lead exceptional lives. Today, I am joined by the one and only Jake. I like a slice of mom's delicious meatloaf and an iced tea on a hot summer day. Spurley. What's up, Jake?
You know, it's funny because my mom makes delicious meatloaf and I love me some Southern sweet tea. It's just delicious.
How many sugar packets do you put in your iced tea?
I don't want to talk about it, Kyle,
Hey, why don't you want to talk about it?
because I probably need some insulin after I drink it.
Are you like the 15 packets or more club?
Potentially, yes.
Yeah. Sometimes it has like us Oregonians, we don't even know like the real Southern iced tea and just the influence of it. When I was traveling through Alabama and Georgia and Louisiana, even McDonald's had sweet tea. We don't even have sweet tea at freaking McDonald's around here.
Yeah, we do. We don't. I totally thought we did. Sweet tea is completely underrated, especially on a hot summer day. We used to sell it in the food truck that I used to own, and it was delicious, man.
I don't know. I can't get with it. I just, it's good, but you have to put so much sugar packets in there that your eyes are rolling in the back of your head just after you take a couple swigs of it. You start getting jittery before you even finish a super tanker of iced tea.
It's true, you know. And talking about things and people that love sweet stuff, I know kids love delicious sugary drinks. What do you think is going to happen with the school year next year, Kyle?
Oh my goodness. Do we even want to get started on this?
I'm going to say no because it's going to make you a little sad guy, but I feel like we got to get into it. It's a hot topic right now. Listeners want to know.
Yeah, I don't know. We have a consistent about 350 cases of COVID a day right now. What's the date today? The 4th, the 5th of August?
I don't know, dude.
One of
5th of
those?
August.
Someday there's this funny meme that was just like the days are now this day, that day, someday, and not today. Like we don't even have days anymore. We're so, man, we've just been chugging along day by day, making this happen with all the kids at home. It's interesting, but as most of you know, I am a high school teacher, and I think what we're going to do is some sort of, well, it's definitely going to be online to start, all the way through the first quarter, which is about November. So, but this time we'll actually grade kids and we'll take attendance and we'll do things that we probably should have done at the end of last year. So I'm hoping for more community and parent and student engagement so that I can teach these kids how to make money and, more important, how to make a difference. And that's what we teach in our business classes. Is I try as much as I possibly can to deliver content, show them different things, but also make sure that they understand that they have a huge responsibility when they are using these awesome tactics to do so ethically and give back when they can.
Oh, it's a beautiful thing. And I think, you know, you're very passionate about it. And starting young is great. I, uh, I hope. I mean, shoot, I got to call you out on that. I remember you telling me at the end of last year, you were like, "Yeah, I think almost all my kids are passing this semester," and I really think that's what everybody did, right? Like, you can't put it on the kids, right? It's not their fault they had to go online, and it'll be interesting. Looking forward to hearing how it goes in some later episodes.
Yeah, and I'm lucky. I'm lucky that I have an office at home. My wife doesn't work too many days a week, and so I'm going to be in a better place than some families and some teachers that have kids that are home that they're trying to teach. And there's a lot of dual teacher homes as well. So they're teaching their classes, they're teaching their kids, and things are going to be a little bit funky. But again, got to go in, rolling in with a positive mindset and remember why you got into the profession in the first place. So it'll be good,
Blessings
Jake.
and opportunities everywhere. Blessings and opportunities.
That's right. So it's all good, Jake. It is all good. That's my philosophy so far. I go back on August 31st, so I've got a little bit more time to bust out some Against All Average episodes. And on the Against All Average podcast, we love our sponsors. When you need all things digital looking their best, call our friends at Fame Pro Services. Our friends will give you the above all average treatment with a full line of printing services, an awesome new website, custom graphics, social media management, and so much freaking more. Fame, the trusted partner of the Against All Average Podcast. Let's get it rolling, Jake. In this quick hitter episode, we'll be talking about how you have to filter out what others think of you, how to show empathy, and who you take advice from. So start us out, Jake. Let's get this thing going.
Let's go, baby. And I think before we can even talk about what we want to talk about, we have to understand why we think this way, right? Naturally, as humans, we are wired to care what other people think, and it's really not a bad thing. I remember when I was in grade school, it was like, well, how did little Johnny feel when you did that? And I was like, oh, little Johnny felt poorly. So that's really where we think about treat others how you want to be treated. How would if you did X, how would that affect this person? And we're just naturally wired as humans to really truly care about what other people think about us.
And so,
But
do you think, Jake? Do you think it's wired within us, or is this learned behavior through grade school?
yeah, I think some of it's wired just as a natural human being, but I think a lot of it, I think you're right there, is that it's a learned behavior. And it's just like every kid, they pick up things here and there. And I think we pick up this behavior along our journey to adulthood and teenagers.
Yeah, I think so because I can remember back in the day being at recess and playing wall ball and getting all pissed off and just chucking the wall ball at some kid's head. And I'm getting in trouble. We always had to go to the fence. I don't know if you guys had to go to the fence when you got in trouble, but you had to stand by the fence. And then when they come up, it's just like, well, when you got frustrated and you threw the ball at little Johnny's head, how do you think Johnny felt? And I think so often, like I think you're completely right. It's a little bit wired in us to have empathy, but additionally, it's so taught. How did they feel when you did this? When you screw it around in class, Kyle, how do you think the other kids feel when they can't learn? It's like, I don't know. For me, as you can tell, I've probably been in trouble way more than I've not. But it's funny. It is a little bit wired for us to be empathetic when a little kid cries. When a 2-year-old, a 3-year-old cries, like my kids go up, oh, are you okay? Or what's the matter? Or what can I get? Do you need your mom? Do you need a Band-Aid? Like, what do you need? So there is that wired empathy. And then there's that trained empathy as well, where I think it's just to run a school so that the school doesn't burn down, right? Like if you have a bunch of kids that are not empathetic of each other, people be tripping each other, pushing each other in the bathroom, calling each other mean names, and those things do happen. But you try to coach them out of that. And the main coaching point is like, how is that other person going to feel? All of your actions are going to have some sort of consequence, whether positive or negative, on someone else. So I think that's a good place to start, and why we are wired, and why we grow up to really care what other people think. And I don't think that's a good place to be mentally.
And I mean, I think you really you have to differentiate it between your circles, right? I think you should, at a surface level, care what your deep inner circle thinks of you. But then I think that you have to set different, I don't really like the word expectations because I have zero expectations for everybody because then I'm never let down. I think you have to alter, that process for your outer circle of, these people are outside of my life. Like they're really not deeply integrated in what I do. I don't really care what they have to say, right? And the really big thing I want to hit home here is that everybody preaches, hey, like, you shouldn't care what other people think. It's not relevant. They're not you. They don't understand you. But I think some people go too far in that mantra of, I don't care about anything, that they completely lose all empathy and core, just decent human being traits because they just don't care about anything. And that's one thing that I really want to hit home is filter who you take advice from, right? Filter, who you're listening to, take it for what it is. But at the end of the day, regardless of who you're talking to, like you can't just not care so much that you don't have any empathy for something they're going through.
Yeah, I mean, it's like you say, it's not one way or the other. It's like a lot of the business topics that we cover. you can't completely not care. Like, I don't care about you. I don't give a crap about this. Like, I'm not going to listen to anything you say. More so, you need to continue to have a positive outlook and have a positive view of yourself in order to have that confidence to say, hey, maybe 3 years ago, I would have listened to your advice on this topic. However, now I want to go this direction, or I want to go that direction. Okay. Um, and so you start to filter who you talk about, especially with success and business. A lot of people are going to give you advice just in general, right? People care. They want, if you're a good friend, they want you to do well. And they're just telling you from the best of their knowledge what to do to become successful, have a better family life, whatever it may be. So I think you do have to be empathetic, and you do have to listen, and you do have to care about others. However, it is up to you and your filtering system to figure out what is the best for you, your family, where you're at, your business, etc. And how does everything that they are saying line up with your personal values, and is it ethical or not?
Yeah, yeah, and it's interesting. That made me think of the book that we both wrote chapters for. We're here getting launched September 1st. How to be crazy amazing during difficult times. Something I wrote in there is how I kind of deal with my inner circle, because everybody wants to voice their opinion, right? And it's really important that we filter out what opinions we listen to. And at least my philosophy is I allow others to poke holes at what I'm doing, right? Like, I'll listen to what they have to say. You can just keep, bashing at me, talk, talk, talk. I'll listen. I'll truly try and understand where you're coming from and why you're saying that. But at the end of the day, I'm more of just a doer. Like, I do, and I let the other people, my close family, people that are in my close inner circle, poke holes at what I'm trying to do. Because you get so caught up with what other people think and what everybody else has to say that we sometimes don't even do what we want to do because we're so wrapped up in what everybody else is saying about what we're doing. And that's really what I want to hit home here, is that you could truly spend your whole life spinning your wheels nonstop thinking about, oh wait, what are they going to say about this, what's my family going to say about this girlfriend that I'm bringing over. Truly, it's applicable in business and life and relationships, whatever, right? That we don't get going. And I think it's so much better to just do, right, Kyle?
Yeah, I mean, we're both doers, and that's why we have to hire folks that sit down and really process and think in depth about the different things that we want to do. But I think what's tough, Jake, is so many people start to get to a certain point, and you don't really know who to reach out to, or people are just giving you unsolicited advice. Like, how do you respectfully not take someone's advice, especially if it's like a loved one, like your mom or dad, or how do you like listen? How do you show empathy? But at the end of the day, like, down deep, I'm not taking this advice whatsoever. How do you do that in a respectful manner?
I think that really that question could be separated into two things. I think there's a difference between taking advice and acting on advice. And I think you can easily take their advice, right? You can absorb it all
Right.
in, truly understand what they're saying. Get, oh, that's awesome. You can completely play along with it, right? Because, kind of being, I don't know, at least from my point of view, to be a very versatile human being, you have to kind of be like a chameleon, right? You have to adjust to all the situations. And you can take their advice, take it all in, act in. You don't even have to act interested. You should be interested, because you should genuinely, maybe they're bringing something up that you had no idea about. You should truly take it in, but it doesn't mean you have to act on it, right? And at least for what I do, I'll take in absolutely anybody's advice, because I truly like to see how people think, what they're thinking. Doesn't mean I agree or I'm going to act on it, but I take it all in, and I kind of, absorb and make my mental decision, and I just act on it. I'm not going to tell the person, yo, you're wrong, I'm not taking your advice. I'm just simply not going to act on what they told me to.
Yeah, and I think this happens to me at like business conferences and sometimes educational conferences as well, is that there's so much flooding into my notebook or into my head. I have to really think through, okay, I'm in year 10 in education. What of this advice applies to me and what of it just does not? And so a lot of times I'm listening to different people from different walks of life, or I'm reading just to find that one little snippet that's going to change the game. I don't have to act on everything I hear, just like you're talking about. I just have to use a great filtration system to get those one or two little snippets that are going to change the game.
And I think it's all, I mean, I think in everything in life, right? It's all about the one or two little things. And I think it's kind of another point I would like to hit home here on is that, you know, we can care, we can, not listen to others, whatever, but truly life is all about the lens you're putting on, right? And you can put on this, successful mindset lens, whatever, and it doesn't mean that you're shutting everybody up and you're not listening. You're just selectively listening to the little things that will take you to the next level, and kind of drowning out all the nonsense, because we're if you're looking for nuggets everywhere, you're just going to get caught up in your own head, and you're going to get overwhelmed with opinions and caring about getting all these nuggets from everybody. But I think that lens is also a filter of, you can see it through one way, but you also have to filter what's coming back into you.
Yeah, and if you're on Instagram right now or Facebook and you're following 20 different top entrepreneurs, please weed down who you are listening to, because everybody has their own story. Everybody's come from a different place. They all do it differently. And if you start listening to five or 10 or yeah, like even five of them seems like too much sometimes,
It's a lot.
um, because you're just going to be jumping from thing to thing. Am I doing webinars? Am I doing Facebook ads? Okay, now I'm doing YouTube ads. Oh, we're going to do Google ads. Oh, should I pay more? Should I pay? I mean, it really gets overwhelming. So make sure you filter within your own streams of media who you're listening to, because the easiest way to not get started is to be overwhelmed. And the easiest way to be overwhelmed is to start follow everybody on Instagram, Facebook, and then get into this loop of checking your phone and checking your phone, checking your phone. Two things that I want to leave us with. I want this to be a quick hitter, and I think we're probably around 20 minutes ish, Jake.
Yep.
Is we think others are thinking about us. Let me say that again. We think that others are thinking about us. So like when I'm starting a podcast, like my mind, when I'm in a negative mindset, is like, who's going to listen to this? Oh, this is going to be so freaking embarrassing. My first 2, 3, 4 episodes are going to be awful. And they weren't good. Go back to episode 1, 2, 3. Like we've come a long way, and we got to this place because we started to act, and we put one foot in front of the other, and that made all the difference. But if we just think that others are thinking about us and what we're doing and how we're doing it, that's again going to result in being overwhelmed. And when you're overwhelmed, it is really hard to take action.
And I think one thing, I mean, it's interesting because we all struggle with different things, right? One person might really struggle with, oh my gosh, what's Sally going to think about this if I do this? For me, that's never been a problem for me, and I'm actually extremely grateful for it, because I simply, like, I am me. I know that I am the absolute best version of me that I can be right now. If somebody isn't happy with that, then I truly don't care, like, because they
Right.
don't know me at all, and I'm doing the best that I can. And if my best isn't good enough for them, then I truly don't value their opinion.
Man, that is an absolute gold drop right there. Because if you are trying your absolute best and you're trying your best to help others with whatever you are doing, whether you're an entrepreneur or a teacher or you're the manager at Safeway, whatever your job is, if you're not trying each and every day to solve problems and help people the most you possibly can, and that's not good enough for somebody else, screw them, right? They're lost.
And I think this completely just ties into empathy so freaking well. Um, it just pops up in my head, and I can't stop thinking about it now. I just got to release this. Um, there was a situation about 3 or 4 months ago where, I had a sick father. I was, helping him through, the ICU for a solid 2 months. And, I was running the business, doing this, and I was truly doing absolutely everything I could. I was waking up at 5 a.m. to go to the hospital to see him, work, right next to his ICU bed. I was getting home at like 11 o'clock at night. I was truly giving life every single thing that I had to give. And I would like, my bucket was 100% empty. It's bone dry. It was bone dry for 2 months. And for a student individual, it wasn't good enough. It was not good enough. And at one point, the individual wanted to leave my life. And I was, although it hurt, I was like, I did absolutely everything I could do. I was the best version of me during that time. Was I a perfect version? Absolutely not. But I was the best version given the tools and the circumstances I had dealt to me. And you can't dwell on that. Are you kidding me? Like, you were the best you could be, and you want to dwell because you weren't perfect, because you were in a situation. That's complete BS. And I think it also ties into empathy of we have to be empathetic to people, right? Like, if somebody's going through something and you're like, hey, you're not meeting this, why don't you look at the mirror and like, how would you feel if somebody came up to you and you're going through something really hard and nobody was giving you any empathy, they didn't understand, your boss wasn't seeing situations from your shoes? Like, that would make you feel like absolute crap. And I think it's so important that as leaders in life, we show empathy to people that need it. I don't mean empathy of, getting all sad and sobby and, getting in the mental mess with them. It's just showing them like, that's really tough. Like, I could understand how that would really affect you. Hey, how about this? Just being like a leaning shoulder for them without getting involved in the situation. I just know from personal experience, because I had some of this happen recently, that the people that showed me empathy are the ones that truly helped me get out of the hole that I dug myself in.
Man, thank you for sharing, Jake. I think too often we go through tough times and we personally just don't let other people even know what's going on. And I think if you are able to get into somebody's life or into their head by asking questions or just being there and realizing they're going through rough times, especially if you're coming at this from a boss, like you're a boss to somebody, just giving them a little bit of a little slack or giving them suggestions, because sometimes they're so embarrassed even to talk that's affecting their life. They may feel embarrassed that that's something that affects them. They really want to put on the facade that they're so mentally tough that nothing affects them. And we all know that it does. So again, in this episode, we tried to take care of caring, understanding, taking advice, but having a filtration system and showing empathy. Is there any last thoughts before we take this one out, Jake?
I think, if there's a one sentence thing that I just want people to take away from this, is that if you are being the absolute best version of you, that is the best version for you, and nobody else can tell you otherwise. Be content and be proud of the best version of yourself. And if that's not good enough for somebody else, then that person isn't good enough to be in your life.
Boom. Thank you. In order to grow the podcast, we need your help. Please subscribe to our podcast on your favorite platform and tell a friend about every episode you find value in, and share the episode on your favorite social media platform. If you liked the episode, please rate the episode and leave us a review. You can find us at Against All Average on all of your favorite social media platforms and at againstakllaverage.com. Another big shout out to this episode's sponsor, Fame Pro Services. And with that, thank you for listening to the Against All Average podcast. We'll see you next time.